In this news hour, we will be focusing on the Mexican Revolution.
And more specifically, what it should have learned and how it did relate to revolutions of the past. Before we get into the details, we need to know what happened during the Mexican Revolution. The Mexican Revolution started because the Mexican people wanted to end the corrupt dictatorship of Porfirio Diaz. Madero was the initial revolutionary of this Mexican Revolution. He thought that the voting system was very unfair and corrupt. At one point, Madero was technically the leader of Mexico, but had very little genuine power of the Mexican country. There were many bands of revolutionaries that did things their own ways in small towns. This was not very effective because they did not lead the country as a unit and had their own ideas. Over time, the Mexican Revolution has simmered down, and the Mexican government has been poorly led and corrupt ever since.
Well, now that we have a proper background knowledge on the Mexican Revolution, I can tell you where they went wrong and where they should have looked for advice. The reason Francisco Madero was a bad president for the revolution was because he didn't put his attention in the right places, and he didn't learn from the Russian Revolution. President Madero should have learned from the Russian Revolution that in order to be successful, you must put all of your attention towards the lower working class if you want to have the majority of the population and the other revolutionary leaders on your side. Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov, or Lenin as he changed his name to, was a ruthless Russian leader who believed the revolution is all for promoting the proletariat, or working class. With this belief as his primary objective, he ruled ferociously and won over the population, and led a victorious revolution which led to a prosperous, if still harsh, government. Because Madero ran more of an uncertain, doubtful campaign, he lost the support of the extreme, powerful revolutionaries like Pancho Villa and Zapata, and because they had control and major influence on the working class, Madero eventually lost all control.
Along with the Russian Revolution, the Chinese Revolution could have taught the Mexican revolutionaries a lot about what they should have done. In the Chinese Revolution, the Qing dynasty was overthrown to later become a communist government. At first, people thought that this was good, but later realized that Mao, the leader of the communism, had undefined control and that they had no political say in anything. This was pretty much the same in Mexico. People had little say in the political votes and were being controlled on, for example, farmlands. Farmers were losing their land and being forced to work on large collective farms, much like what happened in China. Although it may seem there are many similarities between the two revolutions, there is one major difference. In the Chinese Revolution, the nationalists and the communists were fighting for control of China, but with two very large armies. This is different from the Mexican revolutionary forces that were a collected group of jefes, or chiefs, led by Pancho Villa. The Mexican government finally was able to take over these many different groups. If the Mexican people had learned from Mao that in order to win, like he did, you must gain the trust of the countrymen and fight as a single unit, then they would have had a better chance of defeating the Mexican government that is still in effect today and very corrupt.